Hello guys, it's me Simo Urahara, and in this video we will talk about one of the special battles that took place in the novel Can't Fear Your Own World, and related to the battle of Urahara Kisuke against Aura Michibane, which knew the use of one of the most powerful HADOs in the story of Bleach. We can call it the Battle of Dragons. However guys, this battle is not really a real battle, so to speak, because this battle was not aimed at defeating or killing the enemy, but rather it was a battle within major dimensions. For example, why did this battle originally take place between Urahara and Aura, and who is Aura in the first place? So before we talk about this battle, we have to go back to Aura and talk about her background in order to understand the fight and how it happened. And I would like to say guys that the character like Aura should have been in the manga. Aura is one of the best characters that I really liked her background, as she is distinguished in everything. The first of these features is that she is considered a second generation Fullbring. That is, one of his parents is Fullbring, exactly her father. Of course, Aura did not inherit the Fullbring power from her father, because she is personally contained within her before she was even born one of the greatest parts of Ryu, which is the Sakitsu. The Sakitsu is the booster of the Shinigame's spiritual power, so imagine with me that this part of Ryu was inside Aura. As a human being with a special part of Ryu, this automatically made her a Fullbring. But this fact, the fact that the Fullbring power is based on the parts of the Soul King, was not available to Aura's father. Aura's fathers, like many, believed that the origin of their powers was from Hollows, because it is known that all the Fullbrings had their mothers attacked by Hollows when their mothers were pregnant. Therefore, it was widely believed that this power that they possess is due to the Hollow's attack. And this is what Aura's mother was exposed to. She was seriously attacked by a Hollow, and her husband, who is Aura's father, he tried to defend her using his Fullbring power, but he failed to do so. Aura's mother was seriously injured that made her give birth and died. And this incident that happened to Aura's mother made her father enter into a great shock. And he thought his being a Fullbring has something to do with what happened. He thought it was his blood mixed with his wife's that caused all this and made the Hollow attack her, and thus he lost his wife. His wife died, but she left him a gift, their daughter Aura, and fearing that what happened to his wife could happen to his daughter, Aura's father did something strange. Whoever watched the movie Room will have a certain idea of what happened to Aura, though Aura's father had no bad intentions to harm his daughter, but he had just his own thought about how he could save his daughter. So Aura's father decided to put her in a basement under his house, so that she could never get out of that basement, to prevent her from being exposed to any harm from the Hollows. Rather, it came to the point of banning all forms of external communications, such as television or reading books. He taught her only the basics, such as teaching her the power of Fullbring so that she can defend herself, as well as reading and writing only. Aura knew literally nothing about the outside world. Rather, the world itself was the basement. Therefore, Aura was not able to form any specific Fullbring ability. As it is known, most Fullbrings are able to manipulate the inanimate souls, and this is the basic ability of all the Fullbrings. And then comes the special ability of each person, because of his attachment to something. And this point was not available to Aura, because there was simply nothing to attach to. She lives in an empty basement. All she knows is the basement, and her father and the meals he used to prepare for her. However, one day Aura's father came and told her that he had found a person who would help him to get rid of his Fullbring power, this cursed power that he thought was the reason for his wife's death, and told her when the experiment succeeds, he would come to check her so that the Fullbring power wouldn't stay with her either. Of course, the person Aura's father was referring to was Ginju, and those were the last words Aura would hear from her father. As mentioned in the novel, when Ginju gathered his friends, including Aura's father, they were ambushed by Tsutsuna Yashiro's family in order to kill them and extract the parts of the Soul King from them. And as a result, Aura's father was killed and he didn't return to her. Aura, that little girl, with her father's delay, knew something had happened. She found herself in a very difficult situation. Starvation began to eat away at her body, and she did not find anything to eat in that basement. And because of the instinct of wanting to survive, she tried to look up for a way to get out. And there is where the first signs of Aura's distinctive power appeared, so that she penetrated the walls of the basement and got out of it. And this is the basis of Aura's power. She can manipulate the souls of the matter, and as I said, this is the basis of the power of every Fullbring. But for Aura, this ability takes on other dimensions of strength because of the Sakitsu of the Soul King, so that she is empowered to manipulate very huge things of matter, whether they are water or from earth or blood or brain cells or iron, but she can even manipulate with her physical body and make it intangible. With these features and characteristics, Aura had moved to live with her mother's family and took their last name, Michibane. Aura has grown and become adult woman, but what she lived in that basement was still affecting her personality, so that there was nothing that excites her. And perhaps her lack of a special Fullbring ability was one of the prime examples of this. But one day, she will meet a person who told her that her father had been killed and that he knew the killer. That person was Tokinada. And Tokinada is someone who likes this kind of conversation. He had previously done this with Tosin, when he started to talk with him in a calm manner about the death of Cfyow, Tosin's friend, to surprise him in the end that he was the one who killed her. The same thing he wanted to do with Aura. He told her directly that his family was the one who killed her father. And the reason was because he had something that belonged to them, meaning the parts of the Soul King. And he told her that she also had that thing, which is a special thing, the Sakitsu of the Soul King. Aura's reaction was not as Tokinada might have imagined. Aura did not show any interest in the matter. She only asked some questions. So do you want to kill me like you did with my father? Eventually Tokinada would offer Aura the option of working under his command, to which he said to her, as long as there is nothing in this world that excites you, would you like to see a new world in which you might find something you like? And this new world needs a king, and for this king to be, there must be some equipments. So after Aura accepted to work for Tokinada, he ordered her several things, such as to steal the sacred sword of the Tsuneyashiro family, which is Inara, collecting materials for the creation of Hikone, so that she considered herself to be the king's handmaid, and she established a religious group consisting of 700,000 people in order for them to receive the new king. Of course, Aura managed to do that by manipulating their minds because of her ability to manipulate her body, so that she would show them miracles in order to persuade them to join. But in the midst of all of this, they needed an extra element for Hikone to become a Soul King, which is the Hogyoku. So Tokinada ordered her to go and capture Urahara Kisuke, so that by bringing him in, they would force him to make them Hogyoku. But before that, Aura went to Yukio in order to convince him to join them, so that Aura and Yukio would isolate the city of Karakura with the spiritual barriers that made the Shinigami unable to leave or enter it, and then headed at Urahara's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Hisage was at Urahara's place, and there where the fight will begin. In the beginning, Hisage was the one who went to fight Aura. Of course, this is a part of Urahara Kisuke's methods of fighting, which is that he lets someone fight the enemy so that he can collect the necessary information about him, especially if we knew that Aura wasn't someone normal. She had unknown abilities. For example, when Hisage put Zanpakuto on Aura's throat in attempt to urge her to remove the barriers on the city, Aura cut off her head with his sword, and she spoke while her head was still separated from her body, and she said this is how she make people follow her by making these miracles. Therefore Aura's head had returned to its place as if nothing had happened, and there is where Hisage will activate his Shikai to attack her, so he tied her with Kazashini's chains and released Bakudo 62. All this to get a grip on her. Miraculously, Aura broke free from the chain of Kazashini and the Bakudo. And in the light of these two refined abilities, Urahara intervened in order to fight Aura. And Urahara Kisuke, through Hisage's brief clash with Aura, was able to analyze her ability. And so he told Hisage what we talked about at the beginning of this video, about the fact that Aura doesn't have a specific Fullbring ability and only has the normal Fullbring abilities, which is the soul subjugating. Urahara has given an example to Hisage by saying that she's like a Shinigami who fights without a Zanpakuto, but using Kido and Hakuda at Aizen's level. In light of all of this, Aura raised her attacks and formed a giant dragon towards Urahara and Hisage. At first, Urahara tried to fight her using Benihimi's abilities, so that he avoided the attack and countered it with attack of Kamisori Benihimi. And he didn't stop at this. He used the Shibari Benihimi that he had previously used against Aizen. But all this was of no avail in front of Aura, so that Urahara concluded something, that the Zanpakuto's attacks like Benihimi's Zanpakuto or Kazeshini will not work against Aura, and Zanpakutos like Yurimaru or Yujin Jakka are the best since their impact is wide, and instead Urahara started using Kido, the high level of Kido, so that he unleashed HADO 91 with the full spell, and Urahara's HADO made Aura suffer some damage despite her formation of several shields of nitrogen. But she admitted that she had underestimated the strength of Urahara's Kido. And then Aura will form a huge water and magma dragons to attack Urahara this time. Hisage, who was watching these terrifying scenes, knew that he was not a real part in this battle. And here is where Urahara will use one of the most powerful HADO in the story of Bleach. HADO 99 Goryu Tenmitsu. What I have to point out here is that according to the novel, this HADO usually emerges from the ground, so that 5 dragons emerged from a ley line, but Urahara pulled it out of the sky using the Ryatsu of the souls that Aura was controlling in the atmosphere in the place of the ley line to release the HADO. So the sky parted and 5 huge dragons emerged. 3 dragons contained Urahara and Hisage to protect them from the attack of Aura's magma dragons, while the remaining 2 dragons attacked Aura. And so what happened next made some people take a wrong view of the end of the fight, especially about what happened to Urahara, because after Aura and Urahara's attack met, a big explosion occurred. And then Yukio captured Urahara and kidnapped him, and he also enabled Aura to escape, because originally this was their plan, to kidnap Urahara in order to make the Hogyoku, so that it may seem Urahara was actually kidnapped, which is not true. What appeared in the novel later, Urahara is the one who voluntarily went with Yukio after the latter invited him using encrypted messages between them. And to make it like it was a kidnap, Urahara made the HADO 99, and through the explosion he made himself captured by Yukio. But the most important thing that we knew in that fight is the extraordinary power that the Soul King's fragments can give to those who possess it. I mean, you have seen how the Sakitsu made Aura ordinary power reach higher levels of strength. Also how Urahara Kisuke is able to activate the most powerful HADO present in the story, which is HADO 99. Urahara was even able to launch it from the air. Urahara is also able to control the HADO dragons as he wants, so that he made some of them block Aura's attack and the rest attack her. So guys, what do you think about the story of Aura and the fight itself? Tell me your opinions in the comments, and see you guys in my next video.